Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Finstep Asia Edge podcast. Today with me is a very special friend, mentor, and the guru, or the Shifu as we call him, Alex Medana, co-founder previously of FinFabrik, but comes with a wealth of experience, including decades spent in investment banking and trading. We are in one of his previous stomping grounds. This is at the Leela Palace in Bangalore, which is where I was born and raised, not in the Leela Palace, in the city of Bangalore. And Alex, how are you doing? Welcome to Nama Bangalore.
Thank you for passing me the microphone.
I'm trying my best for our audience.
Yeah. Am I supposed to look at here or at you?
No, you look at them. You can engage with me. Nice.
By the way, Leela Palace I stayed twice, so please don't judge me. But I used to live here, not so far from here, between 2008 and 2010, before I came to Hong Kong. If you remember me, I spent 10 years in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And the Fintech Association missed it. Yeah. Together.
His footsteps to support that. We were together on the finance team, by the way, as we started off.
Yeah.
One and two, yeah. So Alex.
Yes.
Back in Bangalore, how has it been?
It's been amazing. I mean, it's interesting. When you lived in a place, you can call it home because it's so, the memories are there. And it's a special place for me for two reasons. One is my career took off. I always tell the story when I get interviewed. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, not like that. Like, somebody wants to give me a job. That happens. Most of the time they say no or I say no, but that's another story. And I say this is that before coming to Bangalore, I had one person in my team. One. And then I came here, I had 100 plus. And so it changed my life because I started to be a manager and later a leader. So that's one. And second, our daughter, whom we've adopted from here, was born here. So it's special for us, really. It's home.
The city. Yeah.
And lovely people, some of them.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to take the mic. Please bear for a little bit of an audio quality issues, but the vocation is great. So you're compromising a bit on that. You will get the audio good. Now, you've seen a career that started in finance in France. You moved to different countries through the process, as you mentioned, why Bangalore especially. Yeah. How about just laying down your career journey and what brought you into finance and what kept you in it?
All right. So at that time you log off because it's going to take a few minutes. Joke aside. So I came into finance by chance in 1999. I was writing a book, a novel about somebody finding a master, and I still am in martial arts. And then my wife said, take your responsibilities. So it still hurt and we still joke about it. But, I came into finance and as an uneducated guy, the only thing I had was English. But maybe not as good as today, but I had English. I used to be in Paris, by the way. If you can't tell, I am Français, my accent. A little bit. Siu. So I went there and then, retail banking, bureau de change, back office, front office, investment banking 2 years later, finding opportunity because I think, and I didn't know then as an ADHD self-proclaimed, hustling comes natural. You're always curious, you find a way, you learn. And next you know it, I come to London in 2002. My CV is sent 50 times. I have one interview, one job at Merrill Lynch. And then, it's experience are given. I think it's all about serendipity.
Sure.
But serendipity doesn't happen like, oh yeah, I'm lucky. I think you have to work at it, for it, be ready, and grab the opportunity. So coming to Bangalore in 2008 is because I've raised my hand and I knew we were offshoring since 2004, 2005. So I knew that I would lose my job. Then, from Bangalore, Hong Kong, with Deutsche Bank. Then I moved to Swift. 2015, fell in love with blockchain, set up a company, met these gentlemen, set up the Fintech Association and as well FinFabrik. And it was just by chance. And to this day, even being here, talking to you, it's just lucky.
It's happenstance,
yeah. I don't stress about it.
Yeah.
There's it's interesting. I think as well when I said it was important here, this place,
Yeah.
because that was the first time I realized, 2008, that I had a career. I didn't have a plan, but I had a career. And what was important for me was always the next level, the next stage. What is that job today giving me next?
Yeah.
Rather than, is it that important right now? No, it was always the next. And that job here, running Prime Finance, I had 100 plus people, was always about what it gave me. So just being open and lucky.
Fair.
That's my short version.
So Alex, great career, came into traditional finance, Prime, saw the vision, had the vision in terms of saying, hey, technology is going to be changing things. So if you think about it, outsourcing has a lot to do with having enough technology to be able to send things back. Right?
Yeah.
And you moved here, you saw the opportunity, serendipitous, and then you moved into blockchain, right? Early days. And I know you wrote, our first meeting was through my first employer post my MBA in Hong Kong, which was Grace Park Partners, and you collaborated with them to write a paper on blockchain in capital markets.
Yeah.
Coming up to 9 years or close to that since that paper was written, right?
Yeah.
Very early, and now everybody talks about it. But I want to talk to you about how did you get into entrepreneurship from being part of a very large organization such as Swift, Deutsche Bank, right? And then saying, hey, I'm going to do this when it wasn't really cool and it was very challenging in a space like Hong Kong.
Yeah.
What pulled you into entrepreneurship?
So I've referred before, I think my ADHD is something that I had to live with. So, not being happy with the status quo. If there's one thing I cherish, and still to this day, about Deutsche Bank, it's really I wouldn't say it's entrepreneurial, maybe on the front office, because I was back and middle, but it's helping each other because things were broken, you have different systems, so you have to find ways to do something with as little as possible, right? Give you an example, finding ways to reduce cost because an agent is charging you, but nobody knows why. So you spend months finding out, changing, iterating. By the way, I trained in lean engineering as well, which then I realized it was a ploy to cut people, which I didn't like, but I still use the tools to make things better. So anyway, startup, high efficiency hedge funds. Since the 2002, 2003, I've been interested, but more on the matching softwares, all of that. And then I went to Swift, so I did a few jobs again, post-trade, because that's my area of expertise. Renminbi internationalization. I'm talking in 2013, 14. So I was one of the first ones. Again, serendipity. I'm lucky. And in 2015, I started to speak at the Asian Banker conferences. And speaking, representing Swift as well a lot. And I read about blockchain, and it was everything that I'd known before, 16 years prior to that, was gone. So, it was like, okay, booking trades, reconciling trades, gone. Of course, we're still working on that. But that was a game changer. That was number one. Number two, I was tired of politics. Within a bank, within an institution where you actually don't have a budget, you don't have the best talent around, and it's no disrespect, right? It's I don't call myself intelligent. You are maybe. But in back office and middle office, you don't have the brightest and the best. And I was one of them. So you have to do with what you're given. You have to do your best. And I thought, wow, technology replaces all of that. And we can be based anywhere. So I foresaw that. And then I quit. Didn't know. June 2015, didn't know anything. I set up a consultancy. And from the get-go was about, if I remember, booking swaps, doing arbitrage, nothing to do with blockchain. Bringing our experience of back, middle, front office, technology, and bringing that to brokers in Hong Kong, but it didn't work out. And then, I think it's Matt Dooley, met him, Henry, you, the crew, we started to talk about let's build something for the community, a kind of sandbox where you would have data and the data would be readily available for fintech. I'm talking 2015, 2016, to test ideas. And from that, two things happened. One was the non-for-profit FinTech Association.
Correct.
And then one was 8 guys, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 stooges, Marcel, Florian and I. We didn't have any idea, actually. It became FinFabrik. Fabric as a K because it's sexy, but as well in German it means factory. So we wanted to build a factory of solution systems underpinned by blockchain or by technology. And that was the journey as well. No game plan. And today I'm at, and we'll talk about it maybe later, there's never any game plan. You know, this conversation, there's no game plan. You want to talk to me? I say yes, whatever, right?
So, but what did you see as the most important thing about your experience in entrepreneurship, right? As you started building out, and you didn't grow to a decent size as well, right? So, how was that journey like? And having 2 other co-founders, how was that different or experience?
So, first of all, you know, from 3 we were 2 because for personal reasons, you know, one left, Marcel, after a year. So that was interesting. But I think with and I've written a lot since 2023 because I want to share the journey because it's not easy, right?
Yeah, it's not.
It's difficult. You know nothing, so you have to be with a fresh mindset.
French.
Yeah. French fries. So you have to have a fresh mindset with anything you do. You don't know anything. You have an opportunity to discover about yourself, about what you know, where you stand, and more importantly, what you don't know. So you can't, you know, and I've spoken at HKU, CTU, all the universities, and every time there is a class of would-be entrepreneurs, the first thing I say is, if you want to become an entrepreneur, think twice. Because it's brutal, physically, mentally, your relationship, your bank account.
Yeah.
I've lost millions of dollars, you know, throughout the journeys. And it's kind of a falling, you know, when you see a baby walk, I don't know if you know that, but it's falling forward until the weight moves backward. And as adults, you know, we control it because we have the muscles at the back of our legs and our back. But it's like a baby, not only because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, black swans are normal swans, and then you fall forward. And that's the journey as an entrepreneur, especially in fintech, especially in technology, you know, where there's new technology like blockchain or AI. And that would be the image I have, which is today, after 25 years since I've started to count coins in a suburb of Paris, I still have no idea. I don't know anything. And it's not being, you know, I'm humble. I know nothing.
You know a lot, and you are being humble, and I'm going to call you out on that.
No.
But running a company with 2 other people and eventually 1
Yes.
how was that experience as working with different people, collaborative, where most of the decisions are yours, versus a large organization? You may have something, but there's a whole process, etc. Here it's swift, quick, but it's 2 different viewpoints that may exist in certain cases. How was that journey in terms of shared vision and process?
Sorry to interrupt, because I think there's an important part. So when you are safely in your office, in your corporate world, you can fight, you can disagree, and there's hierarchy, right? When you're an entrepreneur, there's a lot of emotions. But if you care about each other, you know, and what I call create positive tension. We disagree, you're wrong, I'm right. Not because I'm the chief, but right now because this is the right thing to do. Tomorrow, you're right and I'm wrong. And then we have to commit. When we disagree, we have to take out emotions as well, which is very difficult, which is something that I've learned actually since selling FinFabrik. I call that the power of certainty, which is, as an advisor and mentor, I don't have the emotion of you know, the runway, the dying soon, the talking to investors, talking to the staff, having a lot of issues. But the emotion, dealing with emotions, dealing with uncertainty, dealing with different types of as well decision makers, different type of experience, and I made a ton of mistakes, right? That's why in the last 3.5 years, I said no a lot of time to building a new company. I might say yes very soon. You will hear when you hear it. But you make a ton of mistakes because you don't know. You have a lot of passion. You have a lot of emotion, and as long as you, as I said, it's kind of love, if I may say. It's a lot of care for the other because they are in it with you and they are suffering with you at the same time, and you spend a lot more time with the others, with the co-founders, than with your loved one, with your family, with your children if you have. And you have to appreciate that it's not about you, so it creates a lot of empathy, beyond sympathy, a lot of empathy, a lot of care. But as long as you have a safe environment, I'm answering in a long way, because it's a lot about behavioral economics, a lot of psychology, a lot of care, a lot of being open and honest, and work on each other's strength. I think that's what matters.
It sounds a lot like marriage, right? In that sense. So, and I wonder, when you were talking about it, I wanted to kind of ask a question to you when you were talking about family. Your wife has been with you for a long time, young kid as well. A lot of people who get into entrepreneurship tend to be getting into entrepreneurship in their 30s, 40s. I mean, the ideal age is supposed to be somewhere in the 40s, but anyways, in the modern world, quite a few get into it. But there is always this balance, and it's a very challenging balance of a passion for running a startup where you're always going to be short of funds, bandwidth, all of that stuff. Not just, so one element is the financial element of which you take a hit for multiple years. Second is the bandwidth and the time and resources you have, which is an all-consuming thing. As your company or with two founders, you are responsible. Everything is yours. And so the time you can spend or afford with the family, with those people who are also sacrificing for you, what was that experience thing and what did you learn out of it?
And no, thank you for that. And that's very important to our listeners. And that's why I say, if you want to be an entrepreneur, think twice, because it's been brutal. 2019, where we were building a private marketplace for equities and debt, which led to an acquisition. I said to my family, I said, I will push you out because I have to be outside and hustling. And then it's brutal. It's brutal on you, dopamine and the opposite cortisol. So you go high and down, and the other, your other half, your family, where they don't have the relationship that they used to have, that creates tension, and you have to be aware of that. So we had, I think, I have a very understanding wife that helps, because we've been through a lot, a long time. And that's why I haven't rushed into building a company yet, because it's all about commitment as well. That's the C word, right? Commitment that you want to cure cancer. You have the ego that you know that you can cure cancer, and you're humble enough to know that it's impossible to cure cancer. And all of that, you have that dichotomy of, I'm the best in the world curing cancer, and I'm leaning forward as a child that I know nothing. And that impacts everybody around you, because sometimes you're the, leave me alone, I know, and can you help me because I feel scared? And you have to be strong as well. You have to know yourself. I know it sounds a bit fluffy and Taoism, but this is me. And if you don't know yourself, and if you don't have that partnership with your partner, with your family, with your friend, the price to pay will be more than just losing money. You might lose yourself as well.
And how do you deal with that?
So you deal by doing, you deal by talking about it, And this is the thing that I've learned in the last 3 years, because what I'm about to say, I say to people I advise, which is, you have to give a date.
Sure.
So let's say it's 6 months, it's 9 months, it's 12 months, whatever it is. But it's always, wait, I'm getting traction. The investors, he wants to see me next week. And you push, and it's like gambling. You have to understand the power of dopamine that it does to your brain, because it bypasses the frontal lobe and frontal cortex.
Sure.
That's a long conversation. And you can be really like an addict to cortisol, the stress. Oh, look at me, I feel bad. So people, massage your ego because, oh, look, Alex, you're not too happy today. So you feel good about being cared, by being loved.
Yeah.
The flip side, you are, enthralled by the dopamine hits.
Correct.
Like an addict. Yeah. I used to think, by the way, as entrepreneurs, we are psychopaths because we're addicted to pain. Since I've come out as an ADHD, self-diagnosed again, a lot of conversation goes, you are, I am. So there's a lot of that in being an entrepreneur, which means when you have ADD or ADHD, there's a lot of trauma, and the trauma you inflict on others by being sometimes a little bit self-centered. You're not. You want to cure cancer, remember? You want to bring something to the world. You're very proud about your mission, about your vision. You're enthused about your certainty, your goals, your vision, all of that. And then there are people on the wayside, spectators. Never forget about that. Right? Did I answer? Because
I'm trying to think about, when with the family, there's this self-awareness requirement.
Yeah.
We may all be being either psychopaths or ADHD or ADD or all of the above, and you go through phases of that, right? How do you, beyond the understanding partner, how do you deal with ensuring you can keep them going as well, because it impacts them?
So you have to talk about it.
Yeah.
You have to apologize. You have to say, I didn't know, because most of the time you don't know the impact you have on to others.
Correct.
Right? So
yeah.
Right now you're in my world. It's not a perfect world, but in my head, right now, that's what happens. And I'm in your world. I don't know anything about your world, and I don't care because I don't have any impact on it.
Sure.
But I do, by just being me, by sending signals, by your bias and all of that. So I think it's having a strong partnership, talking about it, just saying, I dropped the ball here. Sorry, it didn't happen, or I overpromised, I underdelivered. And having love for yourself, love for the other, and really being strong about these emotions, because it's very emotional. It's not about, I'm going to cure cancer and I'm going to be a billionaire and I'm going to be another Musk and everybody hate me. It's not about the money. Money is great, I sat on millions at some point, which all disappeared in dust, and I don't look back at that. I look back at a way as learning points, but I don't look back to beat myself up because it's gone. And then in a parallel universe, it still happened. I'm here in Lila Palace, but in a suite, and a different lifestyle.
Soon.
Yeah, soon,
After
maybe.
This.
Soon in Hindi means listen, so that's something. But it makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to be open, but it starts with yourself. I fucked up. I'm sorry. Most of the time we don't say sorry because we don't realize, and then we have too much ego to say, look at me, I'm the guy, I know, it's gonna be all right. Yeah. But we don't know. I don't know. I never know.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Fair deal.
Fair deal, yeah. You've spoken about this, and you also mentioned about beyond the family, and you've been advising people over the last 3-4 years. You've gotten into a beautiful place in southeast of England, next to the ocean, to recharge, regenerate yourself. But you've also been contributing a lot more on LinkedIn about your lessons in learning,
Yeah.
which I'm hoping will soon be a book, right?
This year, I have to.
So fingers crossed on that one. But I want to understand why are you doing all of this sharing on a public platform about your experiences? What is the motivation behind it, and secondly, what have you gleaned from the interaction? Because it's very interactive. I see a lot of founders responding to your posts. Right? So what has been kind of that learnings and experiences of things you heard while you were sharing? So first, why the sharing, and second, what have you gotten out of it or seen through those interactions?
So I'll try to be short, but I won't be.
No, don't be short.
So first of all, why sharing? Because now I'm post 50, right? So I'm 52 and a half, and whilst some of my thoughts I have them since I'm 18, if I talk to you about certain things at an 18, 20-year-old, you'll say, Alex, come on, drink your milk and go.
Yeah.
So now I have 25 years of experience, which are worth zero, by the way, but I can pretend I unlearned a lot. So that's number one. Number two, I'm very lazy. I have 2-speed, which is doing nothing, and I'm the world champion of Shavasana. For those who know, I'm the world champion. Nobody can beat me. I meditate on my back, and that's it. But when I go, and that's another, I would say, factor in ADHD or ADD. When we go, we go. But we have to be very focused, and there's no limit. It's like 2,000%. So as a lazy person, I don't do goals. I hate goals. I've written about it.
Sure.
I do habits. So back in 2023, I thought I'm going to write one post 1 week and see where it goes at the end of 2023 for a book. And I had a lot of feedback, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But LinkedIn is a safe platform. So you don't have the QAnon or others where you go into an ego fight. And I don't like that. If we want to fight, let's go on a ring and then let's see who survives.
Sure.
So that's that. It's very safe. But it was to test myself. What have I learned? Is that of any use to anyone? And then I started this year to say, okay, you lazy sod, you've done 1 post a week. That was easy. Do 2 posts a week. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm trying to, so today, something we have shared will create a thought, and then maybe next week, or maybe not, later, there will be a post. I have, on average, 30 or 40 posts on the go. So something that I've written 6-7 years ago, and again, ADHD, right? It's all over the place. It's chaos. Chaos, it's a constant in my life. And I embrace it. But I think it's safe. And then,
what did you get? How was the interaction? What did you get from others? Or what did you like? Oh, you were surprised, or you were like, oh, you got validated from those conversations with other founders and people in your network.
We talk a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about entrepreneurship and startup, and I contribute. I give my small brick.
Sure.
Wink, wink. FinFabrik. Small brick to the edifice, to the Taj Mahal of knowledge and experience, and creating other connections where I never want anything out of the connection. I always want to give something so that selfishly I can learn where I am. It's very, it's about where I stand. So it's like, I give you an anecdote. Last year in August, I went back to my Sifu in Paris, where I stopped training in 1996. So I've trained in Wing Chun quite a number of hours, and I came back to that after 27 years. And I was okay. I was different because I've added other martial arts in between, but I've never trained Wing Chun for 27 years. But I was okay. That's all I can say, because it's not about building my ego and all of that. But it's about testing, and it's about knowing where you stand for you, not to say, oh, I'm faster, I'm stronger, whatever. Look, you've trained 10 years and no. And it's that feedback, and as well, what that feedback create to you. Say 10 years ago, I would go, I'm good enough, yeah. you know. And now it's like, okay, I'm all right. And I think I can only talk for myself. 50s is an amazing age. I know much more. I'm stronger, faster than in my 40s, 30s, and I've unlearned a lot more. So my reaction today, I think, is conditioned by my age.
Okay.
Which maybe in my 40s I would go like, yeah, well, sitting like this, and it's very interesting. So I want to share because as well I'm old enough now.
Wiser.
Stronger. Yeah, maybe not, but yeah.
So you had this amazing journey of 25, 27 years from the streets of Paris, as you mentioned, to top tier banks in the world, institutions in the world, built multiple startups. I've had a passage of unlearning and relearning on different things. Last 3 years have been very different for you. What have you now been building up on your professional side of things over the last 3 years? And what are you looking to do in the coming years? It'll be very interesting to know from all of this, both professional but also personal experiences that you have had time to reflect on during your Shavasana, as it was, to now. What are the things that you're looking to do? And then we can talk about what you would do differently. But first, What are you building towards?
So first of all, the very quick recap. In 2021, after selling, I rushed into building a carbon credit marketplace, spent 5 months, and then at the end of it, I thought two things. I'm too early, I'm tired. It's not a marketplace, it's a demand problem. And then carbon credit, voluntary carbon credit, is a scam, and we can talk about it because the asset class in itself are not made for trading, right? There's no mark to market, there's no other side. I come from prime finance, so we can talk a lot about that, and you're a trader as well.
Sure.
2022, I won't name the bank, but it's the largest bank in trade finance in the world, with a logo that is like my flag country, right? So there's some red, some white, there's some blue. And I spent 6 months for a global head of digital assets role. Spent 6 months to interview the top 10 people in the bank in that, and They said no. I was the first loser, and they said yes, somebody else in New York. And I thought, I'm French. I come from Hong Kong. Why are you saying no to me, right? But that was interesting because I had to deal with another loss. I think it's a blessing in disguise because being back in corporate would be very, very tough, right?
Sure.
Even if you're a global head, you're an MD on a huge package, what is your decision-making ability, right? Suits you very little.
Yeah.
But it gave me my ego because I didn't know, right? I left in 2015. 2022, I could earn that, could be at that level. So for a split second, my ego went, hey, I have a value. Right? As an entrepreneur, you never know where you stand. And then in 2023, I wanted to build a green tech, touching things. So I went into a lot of ideas, and again, too early, tired to talk to investors. So now where I stand is all this experience, and I answer kind of what I will do different is not do the two guys. We have an idea, we have a dog, we have an idea, we have a PowerPoint. Can you give me seeds, seed round, seed money? I'm done with that. So product, revenue, even if it's little revenue, and then raise. Once, twice, but raise. Because the way I look at a company, which is what I wanted to build before, and I wrote about that, is Mittelstand, a small medium enterprise in Germany where we can be proud of that we have the same mission. It's a little bit like a family. I know family and work are two different things, but it's just the mindset that we are proud of what we do. We are artisan and we cover our costs, and we have enough to pay people well above market, to redistribute, and then as well invest. So that's my mindset, rather than it's Series C and D and E and F, and because that's nonsense. That means you don't have a business. Of course, I can appreciate that you need to raise to enter new market or build new products or whatever. right? Or like you see in the AI now, pay for the servers, the data centers, because they are not cheap. So,
Indian,
yeah. So what I would do differently is really about narrowing down to a product, testing it very, very quickly. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Generating revenue within, say, the first 3 months, even if it's $5,000. It's not about the size of the revenue, which as well, looking back, I was anti-POC, which I'm still kind of anti. I was anti because of resourcing constraint.
Sure.
At the same time, I thought, yeah, you give me 50K, 100,000, it's an insult. Now I would take it because it demonstrates the capabilities. It tests as well the team readiness. It tests the readiness of the product, and it sends a message that you can build revenue. It's all about revenue. So I would really scale really, really fast, still make a lot of mistakes, but go full out. So in the last 3-4 years, I had maybe 4 opportunities, 5, to build a company, and it didn't happen because it was early stage. And yeah, Alex, you will raise this and that, and I said no, I'm not going to raise, or I'll raise if we have a product, but I'm not going to raise to build the product because I've done it, and it's really painful. I know the cost of technology goes down, and you can do an MVP in a few weeks, but then an MVP when you try to sell to installs, institutionals, funds, VC funds, even fintech, you have to be at a level of sophistication where it's work.
Yeah.
So scale fast, raise fast. Fail fast sounds a little bit like bullshit. It's not about failing. It's succeeding fast and finding your north. So you will hear. I'm a few weeks away from going, live about some ideas.
Sure.
We have a product. It's about the market fit, where we go about it. There's no blockchain. There's no AI. There might be later, but it's really around technology, fast deployment. Click, off you go.
So maybe as we close, final things would be, what is the funnest thing you did around in Bangalore and in India, and what memories brings you back often?
The funniest thing or the
Funnest thing.
Finest?
Funnest. Most fun you've had doing something.
I don't know, because I feel at home here. But I give you an example. So when I was here in 2008, being French and heading prime finance settlements and all of that, you learn about being patient, because it can be random at times because you misunderstood or you misunderstand. By the way, and it's something I will write about, I've learned, for example, crossing the street back in the day. If you cross the street like a white guy, you die. So you have to find the rhythm, right? Rhythm, and I'll write about that. This is about rhythm, interaction. So that rhythm in India, you have to adapt to it. It's a very specific, and I'm lucky enough that I have maybe 50 words of Hindi. So all at once you think I'm fluent, but I'm not. And so I give you an example where we go to a dentist because my wife had a problem with a tooth, and there's maybe 10 people in the waiting room, and we go, reaction. We're gonna wait. We had an appointment. We're gonna wait. How long will it take? And they say, no, ma'am, these are engineering students, and they wait for their course. And you think, it's India. You don't ask another question. It's beautiful. It's random.
Yeah.
And this is the India that I know, that I love. That is where it's like, bing, you have certainty, you have certitude, and then you have a conversation and you don't know anymore. And something happened, and the only reaction you can have is to laugh about it.
Life moves on.
Yeah.
And it's the wheel of civilization has been moving around for thousands of years here. So
thank you, sir.
Ending. Alex, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, sir.
Fintech Asia podcast. Audience, stay tuned for more fabulous insights, conversations in the podcast. Click subscribe and like our pages, and stay tuned for more.